3.4 livestream is finally here, and along with it, the banner schedule for the upcoming patch. Although a lot of people have been complaining about it due to Archer's LC requirements, the Firefly skin which looks kind of unfinished on the sand parts, and also just the sheer lack of events and effectively pulls that we'll be getting, seeing as the first half of the patch is extremely stacked. All the drama aside, my main focus for the video is gonna be between Phainon and Saber, seeing as they're the two main carries of the patch that a lot of people will have to decide on. Everyone's already getting an E0 Archer for free, and maybe Lycon as well if you saved or decided to spend on it later on. And as for the returning DPSs, Kafka is the only one to consider, as Dot seems to be getting an expansion moving forward. Although we'll have more than enough time before Kafka's banner is even here to see if it'll be worth investing in Dot. Saber is our newest wind destruction DPS whose kit revolves around her core resonance mechanic, which basically gives her energy from allies using their ultimate, allowing her to get her ult up really fast, despite the high ult cost she has. Aside of that, she's practically a hypercarry DPS that will excel in both MOC and Apocalyptic Shadow, with Pure Fiction being occasionally good, in my opinion. One thing that does really stand out about Saber is the potential she has for the future if we someday get characters that can somehow spam their ultimate faster than someone like tribbie. As for her best options, Sunday, Bronya, and RMC will do well to advance her and give her really good buffs, with Sunday getting his ult the fastest out of the three and just giving better buffs than Bronya, making him the best in that department. Poho, Hyacinth, and Gallagher will do just fine for sustains, and tribbie does the best for the team advance and ult spamming, giving Saber more energy from her core resonance mechanic. Now, I know what some of you might be saying. What if I don't have tribbie or can't get her even in the upcoming rerun? Well, apart from the generally good options like Wanmei or Cypher, Saber actually has another really good option that can ult spam just as much as tribbie, sometimes even getting a one-turn ultimate, and that's Silverwolf. Silverwolf has easily been the best out of all the buff characters, and to put it simply, when her buffs go live in 3.4, I'd say she would even be around tribbie's strength due to the buffs and damage she provides. She also allows Saber to break the enemies by implanting wind weakness, which is now guaranteed for her. All you need to do is slap the tutorial Lycon on her, which everyone can now get from DU, regardless of whether you're a new player or not. With all of this, you have a constant 45 or more defense shred, core resonance generation, and non-negligible damage. So what's my actual verdict for Saber? Well, going off of the information we have from the live stream, do correct me if I'm wrong though, but the 3.4 collab banners have no fixed end date in sight, letting you comfortably build pity on the fresh collab banners over time. It's a bit unfortunate that we have to start from 0 pity on the banners, but this much is to be expected. My personal advice would be to get an E0 S1 Saber at a baseline, if only just for collection purposes, and then slowly get her Eidolons if she starts to grow on you. Although I would say her Eidolons are just kind of okay to be honest, and she'll benefit much more from horizontal investment or vertical investments on her supports rather than herself. So regardless of your current situation, new, returning, or day 1 player, get Saber at E0 S1 at least, as after the collab banner is gone, she's just not coming back. That being said, the devs will most likely inform us of the end date much before the time, so try to take it easy. Okay, now to address the elephant in the room, Phainon. He had a rough update track but still ended up releasing as a top tier hypercarry DPS, second to none right now. Call me biased, but there really isn't any DPS that can do what he does, seeing as he's a really straightforward character. But don't let the comments on him fool you. Using certain abilities at certain times can actually bring much better results than most would think. In the case of enemies, we will always have new mechanics which could change the options that would be better for Phainon in the battle scenario. But at this point, it's kind of hard to see if we could actually add more to the character side of things, other than just straight damage increases and extra turns. Although this game is pretty straightforward for the most part to begin with. A brief rundown for those of you that aren't already familiar with his kit. Phainon is like those video game bosses that become playable, only this time they actually feel like a boss when you have them. He gets Core Flame whenever he's targeted by abilities from allies and enemies alike, and also when he gains energy on the side, making characters like Sunday really good for him as he can generate 2 stacks rather than 1. After getting at least 12 stacks, his ult becomes available, giving you access to basic attack, counter, and a massive meteor which can be activated only through an additional resource which you get from doing basics and counters, with basics being better when there's like 2 or less enemies, and the counters being better when there's 3 or more. Although there are some specific scenarios in which you would want to use the counter due to its ability to advance enemies. The Swarm, Aventurine, and Flame Reaver are some that come to mind as they spawn add-ons at specific times in the battle, which Phainon can speed up and then chip away at them immediately once his counter activates. This is why I said earlier that we may see more enemies that would actually change his desired playstyle in the future. But back to what we were discussing. Phainon is going to be amazing in MOC and pure fiction, with his performance in APOC most likely fluctuating a bit due to how his ult works. But don't worry, as you definitely have more than enough to get all your rewards at E0. Your score might just be a bit lower than usual. Due to the nature of Phainon's kit, it would actually be really easy to buff him, with the trade-off being that those buffs would largely only be usable on him, and we all know how the community reacts to buffs that are strongly tied to one particular unit. Looking at you, Jiacho. After his best in slot support releases though, his main options for investment will most likely be his ailerons. His first 2 ailerons in particular are really strong, similar to Firefly, as they drastically improve his performance in MOC and pure fiction, to the point where those game modes are now going to be a joke to you, and his April performance to the point where, when paired with a bit of careful decision making, it would easily put his scores above the 1700 range. For his team building options, almost every single target buffer is good for him, so he has access to free-to-play options like RMC, Bronya, and Tingyun, and some other options like Yukong if you can play things right. His best are easily gonna be Sunday and most likely Saridra, who's releasing in 3.5. As for his playstyle, Sustainless is generally the way to go, but something like Gallagher with Sacredo's 4-piece or a future option that works well with him would suffice. And although he doesn't really make good use of aura buffers, Robin, Ranmei, and Cypher are still some really good options, with Cypher having a really fun interaction with him if he isn't able to clear things up. Robin is also just better than most due to her ability to bring up the entire team, which leads to more core flame generation from everyone else. So what's the verdict on Phainon? He's easily a great pickup for all sorts of content, but like every other DPS, he will still fall off eventually if E0 is the most you can go for, as the bar for DPSs will just be raised even higher when 4.x rolls out, with more HP inflation on the endgame modes as well. At E2 however, he'd probably carry you all the way from now till sometime around 5.x by the looks of it. Compared to Saber however, he's arguably better with APOC being his only shortcoming, and he has way more free-to-play options than she does. If you do want to invest in him however, then try to get his E2 as soon as possible, whether it be on his debut banner or rerun banners. Then also get his supports as well. E0 is completely fine if you just want to add him to your collection, and he'll still carry you till after 4.x or something like that, so it's really still good. Though as I said earlier, no matter what decision you make sure to keep Saber in mind as well, and at least get her E0 S1 before the Collab banner is gone, cause she will not be obtainable after that. Well, that was a lot to talk about. Remember, this is my personal opinion. Do make sure to tell me if I missed something and what you think about this down in the comments. I'm also curious to know what your plans for the upcoming patch will be. It's a tight one, but we're gonna make it through one way or the other. And so yeah, with that said, catch you guys on the next one.